it just natu- it just naturally happens. And when it naturally happens, it defines us and our expectations. And so if one of us has to, I'm sorry, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can still hear.
Hello?
Yes, I can still
Okay,
hear.
there's a call coming in. Okay, no, if there has to be one sex that's got to be less emotional, put it this way. If there's got to be one sex that's got to be less emotional, it's got to be the male.
Yeah,
It's got to be the
exactly.
male,
Exactly.
right?
Because we
So,
don't think with our
but it doesn't
emotions.
mean we could. But it's not saying, "Hey, you're a male, you can't have emotions." You know, it's not saying that, but it's just saying that you have to be less emotional than a female. That's it.
Because that's what
But
society tells
yeah,
us, but that's not the case.
yeah. So do I conform? Do I conform? I conform, and I do hold lots of emotions in just to fulfill status quo. But
Exactly.
at the end of the day, when I'm real to myself and I look at myself in the mirror, I hold on. This incoming call. I just have to get rid of it for a sec.
Okay. Take your time. You don't have to rush. This is just this auditions today. It's not that
Yeah.
important right now. So
Okay. She'll text me. It's so my situation. I have my son here, but I'm
yeah, you
separated and
don't have
stuff
to
like
explain. They're
that.
all adults.
Yeah. But anyways, back to your topic of conformity. Um, I think we can conform with society, but be real to ourselves. And to not conform with society, I guess you're gonna have to define that because that's where that's where you're at, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of times where didn't where I wanted to actually where I wanted to break down and cry and in public. But then I looked at myself and I said, if you was to do that, how would that make you look? Would that make you look less of a man, or would that make you look just plain weak?
I think it
And
depends on the situation.
but see, when you're younger and society tells you that, you have to hold all your emotions in because either, you're a boy or you're a guy, you know, it kind of does something to your mind and make you not want to do that in public. So for years, I didn't cry in public. I held it all in, and then when I got home, I just let it all out because I was alone and I was in my own place, or I was in my own bedroom at the time as a boy. But when you're in public, you do have to have that. You do have to kind of conform to it. But now that mental health is more prevalent in everybody's life, whether you're a man or a woman, we can have these conversations, and it's nothing to feel shame about, even if you are, even if you are a guy. So I think we no longer have to conform to you know the guy standard of or just we can show our emotions. It doesn't make us less of a man because everybody has emotions, right? So
Yeah, everyone has emotions. I guess you just have to define it in a particular situation, um, where it's applicable because it it's very vague in the way you're defining it.
okay,
Um,
so let me make this more clear here. So if you just found out that your auntie or your mother is diagnosed with stage 4 cancer,
okay.
and you get that phone call, and you're in front of millions of people out in public, you're gonna want to break down because you love them. If supposedly you love your family, and you don't want that, you don't want to see them die.
Yeah.
So, do you cry? Because you might think that stage 4, that's when you have stage 4 cancer.
Yeah, I
that's
know what stage four is. My father-in-law had it,
yeah. When you have
and
stage
my
four
father had
cancer,
cancer
it's
too,
very
and he
likely
died.
that you are
And
going to die.
yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I'd fall on the floor. Depending on the gravity of the situation. If it's a kick in the stomach, I will um show my emotions, because at the end of the day, I don't really I don't really feel that much pressure when it comes to being genuine to myself with regards to a particular situation. Now, suppose it's something like I share with my wife just to make a point, and she's crying hysterically about the situation, and I feel like doing the same. I probably would not do the same, and I'd hold back just so I can balance out sort of like the situation, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Not just to not because I'm conforming with society. It's just because she is all the way there, and I'm going to try to be a little bit more effective in being the correct companion and trying to get her out of that sorrow by pretending to be happy. But I'm not pretending to be happy because I'm a man. I'm pretending to be happy because that's the right thing to do.
yeah, that makes
I
sense.
think. Does that
That
make
makes
sense?
yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah. So
it just all depends on the situation, whether you conform to society of being a man.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if I'm in public and something happens to my child, trust me, I'm not holding back. I don't care who the hell looks at me. I've got two autistic sons. One is 6 years old. One is 9. And growing up, they would have meltdowns in public. And I grew up to be numb to what people uh, would look at you, and what they would say and do, thinking that I'm not being a good father to my child when they don't know that he's got autism. You know, I've been able to mentally exercise this discernment, basically, and getting out of the situation and being genuine to myself and to my son, because at the end of the day, that's what really counts. It's
Yeah,
not it's not the public opinion about whether or not I'm being a good father or I'm being abusive to my child. It's the fact that he's having a meltdown and no one understands he's got autism. So they can stare me down all they want, but I got to be strong in being able to be genuine to myself, if that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yes,
So
that makes
emotionally, I can be independent from status quo.
okay.
So you can say that I'm a nonconformist in that way.
Okay. Yeah, I wish I had other people was kind of attending here so I can get their opinions too. I want us to be
Yeah.
all I want it to kind of be all divided. So Wayne, I don't know if you was hearing the conversation, but do you conform to society as being a man, or what do you think?
So I would say mostly yes. Yeah. Okay, Davis. I would say mostly yes. Which is the reason why I'm on the men's mental health page, is that outside you can't really. It's hard to just let go or just.
Sorry, you cut off Wayne.
Breaking down, and you don't want to break down because you're trying to be there for her. And I think that's something we all go through. And then the hard part for us as men is picking and choosing the time when we have to actually show, like, man, this is really affecting me. So instead of always just, okay, well, let me give in so she can be okay, or give in so that friends can be okay. Instead of always doing that, sometimes we have to take it, and that's the hard part. I think that's where certain things like having an outlet like this page is very helpful.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Why we do kind of have to conform to society's standards of being a man to a certain degree, correct?
Oh yes, yes, to a certain degree, but I think it's getting better, right? Because our fathers never had a break, right? They were just always on.
Yeah.
And one thing I've looked at recently is that um, I've seen a lot of commercials on social media and even cable news about better health and things like that. And some studies are showing that, men especially, we don't have a lot of close connections. And those close connections is what's driving a lot of mental health problems and suicidal thoughts and drinking, opioids, all it's just a downward spiral, all these different things.
Because
Um,
they're keeping their emotions in. That's what's happening.
yeah, that and it's like you don't have somebody that that you feel vulnerable with, that you can let those things go. Like, hey, bro, like, man, I'm having a tough day, and this is why. And like you would have sometimes maybe your wife said something that that's made you upset, and you want to vent, but you don't want to vent to the wrong friend. And you're like, man, why are you being a
Mm,
colorful
yeah.
word, right? So
So sometimes your friends can influence you and
yeah, and
basically to
those
not want
friends
to do it.
are not the actual type of friends that you have to understand who your friends are. We all understand that. Well, no, we don't all understand that. But you have to understand
That's
there's certain
true.
friends. Some people are acquaintances, some people are coworkers. Maybe y'all just watch sports together. Maybe y'all just play ball together. Doesn't mean that that can be the person that you can vent to because that's something that's trusted inside, and you have to be able to gauge those things. And so a lot of us are afraid to even try to experiment. Like, can I vent to this friend? So we just keep it in, and we just hold it to ourselves. We don't really have a lot of close friends. We have more acquaintances and everything else. We just drink it away or get soaked in sports or gambling or girls or whatever else vice it is that takes the pain away.
So basically suppress our emotions, basically. That makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I had a friend
I
like
really
that
like
before.
I really like this concept. Talking about it more. And I've noticed a trend too of watching a lot of I don't know if you listen to a lot of podcasts, but um, with professional athletes, and I've heard them themselves talk about the mental health aspect, not of the game, but of getting prepared for the game or why their game was slipping for a period of time is because they weren't there mentally. And it's just things that is growing up as a kid, because that's where this starts at is showing our young boys how to let go emotionally. But growing up as a kid, you saw your sports athletes as the heroes, but all the heroes always won or they lost. But you didn't see outside when the cameras went off, you didn't see how they dealt with all those things. Now that they're letting that be out, it's good. Now getting that out more to the masses in an avenue like this where we can reach more people to let them know it's okay.
Yes, I do agree with that.